When Amaka married Chike, she thought her prayers had finally been answered. He was gentle, educated, and the kind of man who held doors open and spoke softly. Their wedding in Lekki was a dream. White roses, silver decor, laughter, and promises that sounded like forever. But forever came with conditions, and they were written by his parents. Chief and Madame Nwokedi didn't just live with them. They owned the air inside that house. They had built it, after all, and reminded everyone of it daily. What Amaka didn't know was that her marriage wasn't between two people. It was between her husband, and his parents' authority. The first week, Amaka told her mother-in-law that she wants to cook, and it's a surprise, the mother-in-law reluctantly agreed. Amaka made egusi soup, everyone's favorite. After she finished, her mother-in-law opened the pot of egusi soup, frowned, and said, "You put too much oil. My son doesn't like that. I'll show you how to cook properly." Her father-in-law would rearrange the furniture and lecture. "In this family, chairs face east. Don't change tradition." At first, Amaka laughed it off. She told herself it was love, just old-fashioned family closeness. But slowly, that closeness started to feel like a chokehold. Every time she tried to make a decision, her mother-in-law overruled it. Every time she confided in her husband, he smiled and said, "Babe, it's normal. My parents just want the best for us." That word, normal, became a chain she didn't realize she was wearing. When her first salary came in after the wedding, Amaka felt proud. She wanted to surprise her husband with a small dinner. As they ate, she said playfully, "Guess who just got paid today?" But before she could suggest saving for the future, Chike said casually, "Mama said you should send your salary to her. She'll handle our finances." Amaka froze. "To Mama? Why?" He shrugged. "That's how it's done here. Papa and Mama manage all our salaries. They're good with money." She looked at him, confused. "But we're married now. Shouldn't we plan our finances ourselves?" He smiled as if she were being naive. "You don't understand yet. My parents have been married for 40 years. They know what they're doing." That night, she reluctantly transferred the money to avoid any problems with her husband. She told herself it was temporary. But temporary became routine. Month after month, her salary went straight to Madame Nwokedi. Soon Amaka found herself asking permission to buy the simplest things. One afternoon, she shyly approached her mother-in-law. "Mama, please, I need 2,000 Nigerian nairas for deodorant and my hair serum." Madame Nwokedi looked up from her newspaper and handed her 800 Nigerian nairas. "Buy cheaper ones. You're a wife now, not a single girl." Amaka swallowed hard. In her parents' house, she'd been pampered and respected. In this one, she felt like unpaid labor. Then came the morning her life changed. The day 2 pink lines appeared on a pregnancy test. She stared at the stick, tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. "Chike," she screamed, running into the bedroom. "We're having a baby." He dropped his phone, lifted her, and spun her around, laughing. "For real?" "Yes. We're going to be parents." That night, they lay in bed planning names and imagining tiny fingers and first cries. For the first time in months, they felt like a real couple again. At her first hospital visit, the doctor smiled and said, "Madam, you're expecting twins." Amaka gasped. "Twins? Are you serious?" She laughed uncontrollably, hugging her belly. Double blessing. When they got home, she couldn't stop smiling. She brought out her phone and started making a list. Baby clothes, diapers, cribs, pacifiers. She even started following baby stores online. The next morning, she showed the list to her mother-in-law, glowing. "Mama, I want to start buying things for the babies. Maybe small every month." Madame Nwokedi frowned deeply. "Which babies?" "The twins," Amaka said, smiling proudly. "The doctor confirmed it yesterday." Her mother-in-law scoffed. "You young women of nowadays don't know your place. I'll buy the clothes myself. You'll only waste money on unnecessary things." Amaka hesitated. "But Mama, I just want to—" "Keep quiet," the woman snapped. "When I gave birth to Chike, did anyone tell me what to buy? I'll handle everything." That evening, Amaka folded her little baby list and put it away in her drawer. Her excitement dimmed like a candle in the wind. By the time she was 5 months pregnant, she'd lost all control over her life. Every decision, every naira, every word was monitored, even her food. Her body was changing, but so was her spirit. The once vibrant Amaka became quiet. Even Chike barely noticed. Her only comfort was talking to her unborn babies when she was alone. "You two are my strength," she'd whisper. "Just hold on." Then came her 7th month, the turning point. That month, when her salary arrived, she looked at the bank alert and decided enough was enough. She wanted to keep her own money, at least for her babies. When Madame Nwokedi found out, the house erupted. "Amaka, what nonsense is this?" she shouted from downstairs. Amaka came out of the bedroom slowly, her stomach leading the way. "Mama, I just wanted to keep my salary this month. I need to prepare for the babies." "Prepare for what?" the woman snapped. "You think you can do what you like here? You don't trust us to manage it for you." "I just want some control over my own money," Amaka said softly. Chike appeared behind his mother. "Why are you disrespecting my parents again?" "Disrespect?" Amaka's voice trembled. "I'm 7 months pregnant and can't even buy cream without begging. I'm tired." Madame Nwokedi's face twisted. "Ungrateful woman. We feed you, clothe you, and you dare talk back? If you were my daughter, I'd have taught you manners." Amaka turned to Chike, pleading. "Say something, please." He sighed. "Why can't you just do as they say? You're always making things difficult." Something inside her snapped. "Do you even hear yourself?" "I'm not a child, Chike. I'm your wife." Before she could say another word, Madame Nwokedi climbed the stairs, eyes blazing. She raised her hand and slapped Amaka so hard her head hit the wall. Amaka stumbled backward, one hand clutching her cheek, the other protecting her stomach. "Mama," she cried. But the woman wasn't done. "You'll never raise your voice in my house again. Get out before I lose my temper." Her father-in-law's voice thundered from the living room. "Throw her out if she can't obey." Amaka stood there trembling, heart pounding, tears streaming. "I'm carrying your grandchildren," she whispered. "You think I care?" Madame Nwokedi spat. "With that big stomach, I can tell it's girls. No air, just useless noise." Chike said nothing. He turned his face away, avoiding her eyes. That silence hurt more than the slap. By 11 p.m., her mother-in-law handed her a suitcase which contains her clothes. Amaka found herself outside the gate, suitcase beside her, her nightgown soaked in sweat and tears. The compound was silent except for crickets and the distant hum of traffic. She stood under the porch light, one hand rubbing her belly, whispering, "We'll be okay, my loves. I promise." Her phone battery flashed red. With trembling hands, she called her sister. "Kemi, they threw me out," she sobbed. "What?" Kemi's voice shook with anger. "At this time? Where are you?" "By the gate. They said I'm useless." "Stay there. I'm coming now." 20 minutes later, headlights pierced the darkness. Kemi jumped out of her car barefoot, her robe still tied loosely around her waist. When she saw Amaka, belly heavy, face bruised, she froze. "Oh my God, Amaka." Her eyes glistened. She wrapped her arms around her sister, holding her tightly. "You're safe now. I've got you." Amaka broke down completely, sobbing into Kemi's shoulder. "What did I do wrong?" "You loved the wrong man," Kemi whispered fiercely, glaring at the mansion behind them. They drove off in silence, rain beginning to fall. Through the car window, Amaka watched the house disappear into the darkness. The same house that had once promised her home. Inside her, the babies kicked gently, as if telling her she had done the right thing. That night, under the cold Lagos sky, Amaka realized that sometimes silence screams louder than words. And leaving isn't losing, it's surviving. Kemi's small 2-bedroom apartment in Yaba became Amaka's quiet refuge. The night she arrived, barefoot and trembling, Kemi had wrapped her in a blanket and said only, "Sleep, Amaka. You're safe now." Those words echoed in her ears for days. The next morning, Kemi called in sick at work and sat beside her on the couch as Amaka stared blankly at the window. "You're 7 months pregnant," Kemi said softly. "You can't afford to break." "I didn't know love could throw you out at night," Amaka whispered, touching her belly. "I just wanted peace." The days blurred into weeks. Amaka began helping Kemi with her small catering business, peeling yam, arranging plates, and slowly remembering what it felt like to laugh again. Sometimes the twins would kick inside her, and she would whisper to them, "You will never live under fear." Never. By the time she was due, Kemi had practically turned her living room into a mini nursery. The day she went into labor, it was raining heavily. Lagos rain, thick, unforgiving, and loud. Kemi rushed her to the hospital, and after hours of pain and prayer, Amaka gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. When the nurse placed them in her arms, she broke down. It was as though all the humiliation, all the insults, Kemi's
all
small
the midnight
two-bedroom
tears
apartment
finally
in Yaba
washed out of her
became
system.
Amaka's quiet
She
refuge.
named them Chizaram.
The night
God
she
has
arrived,
answered.
barefoot
And
and
Chidabem.
trembling,
God is
Kemi
my
had wrapped
guide.
her in a blanket
Kemi
and said
cried
only,
beside her.
"Sleep, Amaka.
Your enemies thought they
You're
were
safe
throwing
now.
you away.
Those
But
words
they threw you
echoed
into
in her
destiny
ears for days,"
she said.
The next
Meanwhile,
morning,
back
Kemi
in
called
Lekki,
in sick at
Chike
work
Perfect
and
World
sat
began
beside
to
her on the
crack.
couch as
His
Amaka
father,
stared blankly
Chief
at the
Nwokedi,
window. "You're
invested
7
in a
months
fraudulent
pregnant,"
real estate
Kemi
deal
said
that
softly.
swallowed nearly
"You
half
can't
of their
afford to
family
break.
savings.
I didn't
His
know
mother
love
continued
continued
to
you out at
control
night,"
everything, Amaka
and
whispered,
soon even the
touching
staff
her
began
belly.
leaving. "I just wanted
Unpaid,
peace, tired of
the
the
days
woman's
blurred into
insults."
weeks.
Rumors
Amaka
spread
began
fast.
helping Kemi with
A
her
former
small
business
catering
partner
business,
exposed how
peeling
Chief
yam,
Nwokedi had
arranging
bribed
plates,
officials for
and
land.
slowly remembering
Their
what it
names
felt
started
like to
appearing
laugh
on
again.
blogs. Sometimes
Once
the
wealthy
twins
family
would kick
faces
inside
the
her,
FCC
and she would whisper
investigation.
to them, as their
You will
empire
never
crumbled,
live under
so did their
fear.
pride.
Never.
Chike's nights
By the time
became
she was
sleepless.
due,
Kemi
he
had
would stare at the
practically
empty
turned her
side of the
living room
bed,
into a mini
remembering
nursery.
how Amaka
The
used
day
to
she
hum
went into
softly
labor,
before falling
it was
asleep.
raining heavily.
He drove past
Lagos
her old
rained
workplace
thick,
one evening
unforgiving,
and saw
and
her
loud.
face on a billboard.
Kemi rushed her to the
Amaka's
hospital,
Kitchen Delights,
and after hours
healthy
of
home
pain and
meals.
prayer,
He
Amaka
parked
gave
his
birth
car
to
and
twins,
just sat there stunned.
a boy and a girl.
After her twins
When
turned
the nurse
one,
placed them in her
Amaka
arms,
had started
she
her
broke
food
down.
delivery business.
It was as
with
though all
Kemi's
the
help.
humiliation,
What began
all the
as small
insults,
orders on
all the
Instagram
midnight
grew
tears
rapidly
finally
after
washed
a
out of
few
her
corporate
system.
clients placed
She named them
bulk orders.
Chizaram. God
Her
has
natural
answered.
charm and
discipline
discipline made her
God
a
is my
favorite with
guide.
customers.
Kemi cried
Then
beside
came the
her.
twist of fate.
Your
Raymond.
enemies thought they were
He was
throwing
her
you
former
away,
university
but
classmate.
they threw you into
now
destiny,
CEO of a
she
logistics
said.
company that
Meanwhile,
partnered
back
with her
in
food
Lekki,
business.
Chike Perfect
The first
World
day he
began to
walked
crack.
into her new office
His
in
father,
Victoria
Chief
Island, she
Nwokedi,
froze.
invested in a
Amaka
fraudulent
Nwokedi,
real estate deal
he
that
said with a
swallowed
slow
nearly
smile.
half of their family
Ex Nwokedi,
savings.
she
His
corrected
mother
with
continued to
quiet
control
grace.
everything.
He looked at her,
and soon even the
same
staff
eyes
began
that once
leaving.
carried sorrow now
Unpaid,
glowed with
tired of the
confidence.
woman's insults.
I heard what happened.
Rumors
he
spread
said gently.
fast, and
A
I've
former
wanted to
business
help,
partner exposed
but I didn't
how
want to
Chief
insult your
Nwokedi
strength.
had bribed officials.
She
for
smiled.
land.
Their
You already
names
helped
started appearing
by
on
ordering
blogs.
200 packs of
Once
jollof
wealthy
rice.
family faces
They
the
laughed,
FCC
but something
investigation.
shifted.
As
Raymond
their empire
started showing
crumbled,
up
so
often,
did their pride.
under the pretense
Chike's
of checking
nights became
deliveries.
sleepless.
He'd play
He
with
would
the
stare
twins,
at the empty
carry
side
them
of the bed,
effortlessly, remembering
even
how
changed
Amaka used to
diapers
hum
like a
softly
natural.
before falling
One
asleep.
evening,
He
Amaka
drove
caught him
past her
staring at
old
the
workplace
children
one
and
evening
smiling
and saw her
faintly.
face on a
"They're
billboard.
beautiful," he said.
Amaka's Kitchen
You know,
Delights.
I can't have
healthy
children.
Home meals. Doctors said
He
it
parked
years
his
ago,
car and just sat
but I
there
thank
stunned.
God for giving me the
After
heart
her
of a
twins
father.
turned one,
Amaka's
Amaka
chest
started her
tightened.
food
The
delivery
sincerity
business
in
with
his
Kemi's
voice
help.
disarmed her.
What began
For the
as
first
small
time
orders
since
on
her heartbreak,
Instagram grew
she felt
rapidly
safer
after
after
a few corporate
Months
clients
later,
placed bulk
Chike
orders.
showed up at her office.
Her natural charm and
unannounced.
discipline
His
made her
once
a
proud
favorite
face
with
was
customers.
pale.
Eyes
Then
sunken
came the
with
twist
regret.
of fate. Raymond.
Amaka, please.
He was her former
I've
university
sent my parents
classmate,
back to the village.
now CEO of
I
a
know I
logistics
failed you.
company that partnered
Amaka
with
looked
her
up
food
from her
business.
desk, calm
The first
and
day he
poised.
walked into her new
You didn't
office
fail me,
in
Chike.
Victoria Island.
You freed
she
me.
froze. He tried to
Amaka
smile,
Nwokedi,
desperate. He said
I was
with a slow
blind.
smile.
I thought obeying
Ex
my
Nwokedi,
parents meant being a
she
good
corrected
son,
with quiet grace.
but it made me a bad
He
husband.
looked at her.
She
The
sighed
same eyes
softly.
that once carried
Your mother
sorrow
once
now
said I
glowed
was
with
carrying a
confidence.
girl.
I
But
heard
I
what
wasn't
happened,
giving the
he said
family an
gently.
heir.
Do
And
you
I
know what
wanted
I
to
had?
help.
He
But I
swallowed
didn't
hard.
want to insult your
What?
strength.
A boy and a girl.
She smiled.
Both perfect.
You already helped.
His
by
eyes
ordering
filled with
200
tears.
packs of jollof
Can I see
rice.
them?
They already
laughed,
have a
but
father,
something shifted.
she replied gently.
Raymond started showing
Just
up
then,
often.
Raymond walked
under the
into the
pretense
office
of
holding
checking
the
deliveries.
twins.
He'd
The
play
sights
with
that
the
everything
twins,
words
carry them
couldn't.
effortlessly.
Raymond's calm
even
confidence
changed diapers
contrasted
like a
sharply
natural.
with Chike
One
broken
evening,
posture.
Amaka caught him
Chike
staring
looked
at the children
and
their
smiling
eyes, their
faintly.
laughter.
They're
And something
beautiful, he
inside him
said.
shattered.
You know, take care
I
of
can't
her,
have children,
he whispered to
Doctors
Raymond,
said it years
and left
ago,
without another
but
word.
I thank God for
In the
giving me
following
the heart
years,
of a father.
Amaka's kitchen grew
Amaka's
into
chest
a major
tightened.
brand across
The
Lagos.
sincerity in his voice
She appeared on
disarmed her.
TV shows,
For the first
sharing
time
her
since
story
her
of
heartbreak,
resilience.
she felt
not
safe
for
around
pity,
a man.
but for power.
Months later,
She often said,
Chike showed up
sometimes
at her office.
rejection is
unannounced.
just God's redirection.
His once proud face was
At
pale.
home, the twins adored
eyes sunken
Raymond.
with regret.
They called him Papa
Amaka,
Ray,
please,
and he never
I've sent my
corrected
parents
them.
back to the village.
He'd tell bedtime stories
I know I
failed you.
pack school lunches,
Amaka looked
and
up from her
proudly
desk,
introduced them
calm
as his
and
children at
poised.
company events.
You didn't fail me, Chike.
One night, after
You
putting the
freed me.
twins to bed,
He tried to
Raymond
smile,
took Amaka's
desperate.
hands and said,
I was blind.
"You've been through
I thought
storms
obeying
that
my
could
parents
drown
meant
anyone,
being a good son,
but you turned them
but
into
it made
rain
me a
for your
bad
garden."
husband.
Amaka
She sighed
smiled,
softly.
and you
Your
watered
mother
it with
once said I
kindness.
was carrying a girl.
He chuckled softly.
That I wasn't giving
Marry
the
me,
family an
Amaka.
heir. Her
Do you
eyes
know what I
widened.
had? Are you
He
sure?
swallowed hard.
You already have
What?
us, a boy and a girl.
I'm sure,
he
both
said,
perfect.
voice steady. His
Because
eyes filled
this,
with tears.
he gestured around
Can
their
I see
cozy
them?
home.
They already
This
have a
feels
father,
like the life I was
she
waiting
replied
for.
gently. When
Just
news
then,
reached the Nwokides
Raymond walked
village
into
that
the
Amaka
office
had
holding the
remarried
twins
and was living
The
a
sights
dream
and
life
everything
in
words
Victoria
couldn't.
Island.
Raymond's
Chief and
calm
Madame
confidence
Nwokides
contrasted
reportedly
sharply
stopped
with
attending
Chike broken
community
posture.
meetings.
People
Chike
whispered
whispered
that
that
their
their
arrogance
their
had
eyes
finally
their
met its
laughter,
match.
and something
As for
inside him
Chike,
shattered.
he was seen
Take
once
care
at a
of
mall
her,
in Acadia,
he whispered to
quiet,
Raymond,
alone,
and left without
carrying a
another
small
word.
gift bag
In the
filled
following
with baby
years,
toys he no
Amaka's
longer had
kitchen
anyone
grew
to give
into
to.
a major brand
But
across
Amaka never
Lagos.
hated him. She
She
appeared
had
on
moved
TV
far
shows,
beyond bitterness.
sharing her story of
Sometimes she
resilience,
stand on her
not
balcony,
for pity but for
watching
power.
the Lagos
She often
skyline
said,
glow under the evening
sometimes
sun.
rejection is just
Twins
God's
giggling
redirection.
beside her.
At
Raymond's
home,
laughter
the twins
echoing
adored
from
Raymond.
inside.
They called
she'd
him Papa
whisper,
Ray.
"Thank
He
you,
never
God,
corrected
for that
them.
cold night I thought
He'd
was
tell
the end."
bedtime stories
Because it was
pack
only the
school
beginning.
lunches, and
This
proudly
story
introduces
teaches
them
us
as
that
its children at
sometimes
company events.
life breaks us only
One
to
night,
rebuild us
after
stronger.
putting the twins to bed,
Amaka's pain
Raymond took
became her
Amaka's
turning
hands
point.
and said,
Proof
"You've
that
been through
rejection
storms
is
that
often
can drown
redirection
anyone,
in disguise.
but you turned them
It
into
reminds
rain
us
for
that
your
love
garden."
should bring peace,
Amaka smiled,
not control.
and you watered
And
it
that
with
silence in the
kindness.
face of
He
humiliation
chuckled
is not
softly.
weakness but
"Marry
strength.
me, Amaka.
True
Her
power
eyes
lies in
widened.
walking
Are
away
you
with
sure?
dignity.
You already have
rebuilding your
us.
life.
I'm
and letting
sure,"
karma
he
handle
said
the
the
rest.
steady.
Because
Because
this,
Amaka's
Amaka's
story
story
shows that what was meant to destroy
this
you
feels
can
like the
become
life
very
I was
thing
waiting
that
for.
defines your victory.
When news reached the Nwokides village that Amaka